Look, guys, it's New Year's, and I really need to get something off my chest. And that is that rich people suck. It's not a jealousy thing. Hear me out, all right? I'm on your side. I'm gonna tell you what being poor is like. It's not about me, it's about Reggie. Reggie, for instance, makes $20,000 a year. He works at KFC in the Bronx, all right? And he pays about $2,000 in taxes. And Reggie also pays about $7,200 a year in child support, right? But the homie can't even afford self-support. You have to understand what $7,200 a year is, okay? That's about $150 a week from his $500 paycheck.
Oh, wow!
Then we'll get behind. He won't be able to pay, and he gets contempt of court. He gets put in jail for 2 weeks, and then he gets into a fight in the commissary, and he gets his hip broken, and now he's got a limp. When we're talking about child support, it's not Bill Clinton's fault, even though he passed the Deadbeat Dad Act, or whatever you call it, all right? I don't think he did it because he hated poor people. I think he just did it because it would be cheaper than helping them. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to Reggie, all right? Reggie gets beaten up in jail, but he gets out. $200 parking ticket waiting for him, right? And then he's got the court fees, and then he's got a $250 fine for using the bathroom outside. See, at no point in time was Reggie dangerous. Somebody had called the cops on Reggie. You know, simply because he just had diarrhea and he couldn't hold it in. But all of this is Jeff Bezos' fault, guys. Jeff Bezos took his money, put him in jail for contempt of court, took his belt, took his shoelaces, and he keeps charging him interest. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Bernie Sanders to the rescue. We're gonna raise Reggie's pay $4 an hour. We're gonna add $4 an hour to his bottom line, and we're gonna ignore the fact that he gets a $500 fine for idling his car. The earth was mad at him. Most of his paycheck goes to the city now, rather than the kids. Somebody in power had failed math. I know you law and order types too. I know you real well. I can read you like a book, all right? My authoritarian friends, don't worry, I'm coming for you after I'm done with the hippies, all right? We're doing it. But have no fear, all right? Because America is the freest country on earth. But let me put this in perspective, my tyrannical, jealous friend. About 30% of Americans live in apartments. That's about 100 million people. Tens of millions of people in this country are just like my friend Reggie. They make under measly $20,000 a year. They're one flat tire away from court, all right? And 30% of Americans, about 100 million people, make just enough to pay that child support, the taxes, the fines. And note that politicians will never mention these fines, these taxes, and child support payments, because these topics were conveniently left out of their speeches that they read on teleprompters.
You rehearse, I'll fix the script.
My fellow citizens, the future is bright, and we remain committed to prosperity?
Fixing it.
Prosperity and absolutely nothing to hide? That's not what...
Trust me.
We look forward to a bright tomorrow.
Perfect.
They fake asses. And it really rubs me raw when they talk about the poor, you know what I mean? And they talk about how they can't afford health insurance. Man, we haven't even gotten anywhere near health insurance. That's like a luxury, man. We haven't even talked about how we need a phone to exist.
No. Break it apart.
And look, I'm gonna stop beating around the bush, all right? At any given moment in this country, about 1.8 million people are sitting in prison. Did you know that? Or jail. And that's a bigger number than China's prison population. That's about 1.6 million. But that's just the freeze frame, all right? Every year in America, about 8.4 million people are booked into jail or prison and then released. Yes, my totally independent thinker friend. Now, you might say that he broke the law, man. You know, if you break the law, you gotta do the time. Listen, 2.5 million of those 8.4 go to jail every year because they owed money to somebody with a badge. They didn't commit a crime. And I'll repeat, 2.5 million people go to jail every year for being short on money in a country that charges extra for being short on that money. About 700,000 of those people sitting in jail right now are there for non-violent reasons. All right, that have nothing to do with drugs or theft or anything criminal. Not dangerous people. People who didn't make enough money. This is very true, yes, just like my friend Reggie, who missed a payment in a system that charges interest on breathing. He lost a financial game. Many people lose that financial game. They didn't know that they were playing. And then you go to jail. You just gotta be broke, confused, or late, and that's it, you're locked up. And that's 2.5 million people a year, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, if you think if these people passing laws to tax us and fine us into oblivion really give a shit about how we can or can't afford health insurance?
They won't know what hit them. Cheers to that.
I'm pretty sure you agree with me on this. Other countries lock you up because you talk back to the government. We lock up people because they missed a payment. Oh, but don't worry, minimum wage is gonna fix everything because jail accepts Venmo now. That's like your house being on fire and good old Bernie shows up with a Dixie cup of water. He's like, this should help. All right, you guys gotta understand that's what this is like. I mean, he says free college. And then the dude in county jail for the unpaid tickets is like, damn, if only I had a sociology degree, that would have kept me out of here. But the right wing, they're not innocent in this at all either. Well, maybe people should just make better choices. Listen to me, Adolf, all right? Reggie didn't choose diarrhea. He didn't choose the flat tire. He didn't choose to be late to court at 9 a.m. and get a broken hip in jail. You know, it's not like Reggie woke up and was like, yo, what am I gonna do today? Miss court, lose my job, and disappoint my kids. And also, you passed that No Child Left Behind law that had regular ass soccer moms getting their children reassigned. That rhymes. And let me ask you this question. You think a guy brought up by the CIA, educated at Yale, tapped into skull and bones, woke up worried about your kid? Think about it. You got to think about it. The system isn't broken. It's just built for people who miss things. You could still go to jail later for contempt. Going to jail for contempt sounds serious until you find out it's really just you brought the Form A, but you needed Form A1. Form A1 needs Form B. Form B needs a notary. The notary needs an appointment. The appointment costs $25, and you don't have $25. Now you're non-compliant. That's right. Other countries don't do this shit. Did you know that? Look it up. The judge asks you, he's like, sir, do you have contempt for this court? And you say, no, Your Honor. I have contempt for Office Depot, Your Honor. Guilty! All right, that's how it goes. Do you know how many people go to jail for child support in America? 100,000 people will be in there at any given time. That's like 3 football stadiums. It's a city worth of people. Think about the plan. You don't have money for your kids, so we're gonna take away your freedom until you come up with the money. And you might ask, from where? Where am I gonna get the money? The dude's like in a cell. He's like, oh, any minute now, this is gonna make sense. But rich people go to jail too. Martha Stewart went to jail. Not for hurting anybody, not for stealing, not for drugs. She went to jail because she lied about why she sold the stock. The judge was like, why did you lie? She's like, I don't know, I panicked. Besides the fact that she had 6 kitchens. She was in there for 5 whole months. Meanwhile, somebody chopped somebody up with a chainsaw in Norway and got like a long weekend worth of jail time. So it could happen to anyone, all right? It's an authoritarian country, guys. You wanna know another authoritarian country with hardly anyone in jail? Singapore, look that shit up. Relax. Singapore doesn't have freedom. They have instructions. See, in Singapore, the rules are like a microwave. 3 buttons, all labeled just like this, all right? Don't do this, don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. In America, the rules are like IKEA furniture. You end up in jail holding an Allen wrench. Singapore doesn't put people in jail for being broke. They jail people for breaking rules they actually understood. Authoritarian countries don't rely on confusion. America does. Or like I like to say, Singapore scares people straight. America confuses people crooked. See, we live in an invisible authoritarian country. So yeah, our leaders are gonna be evil or they can't do math. It's one or the other. What do you girls think?
Yeah, whatever you're saying, I agree.
So when politicians get on TV and they say, hey, we care about the poor, I listen real close. Because if you actually cared about the people who can't afford them fines, you wouldn't build a system where being broke looks like being dangerous. You wouldn't send 2.5 million people a year to jail every year because they didn't have the money when the system asked for it. You wouldn't take people who live in apartments, work regular jobs, miss payments by accident, and treat them like criminals for having insufficient funds. My arm really hurts from holding up the phone, but I need to tell you about this, all right? That's not justice. That's a billing problem with handcuffs, ladies and gentlemen. Listening to the right and left argue about law and order or compassion is like watching 2 people fight over the thermostat while the house is on fire. All right, thank you. All right, bye.